Welcome back to my channel. This is day 7 part 2 with my Oklahoma Extreme Mustang Makeover horse, and today I'm going to voice over this video. The audio was a little bit rough in the last video, so this time I decided to do the voiceover, so hopefully you guys can hear me a little bit better, and I can also explain much more detailed when I'm watching it back and talking about it rather than when I'm in person. And I'm kind of bummed out because I just edited this video and the program crashed, so I lost all of my voiceover. I just did this like for the last hour and now I'm restarting, so sorry if it sounds a little bit more choppy or rushed, but I'm kind of bummed out that I just lost everything. So you saw in part 1 that I did all the groundwork and prep work, and now we are going to do some desensitizing with the saddle, moving around the stirrups, patting on it, getting her to flex, touching her sides all over. Really important that I do this because when I swing a leg over, she's going to have to see it from both sides. Something else that's really important is when you're desensitizing like this, make sure you stand right next to your horse and stay by their side. It's a lot easier to move with them rather than if you're a foot away or you're trying to keep your distance or you're acting nervous like that. That's a much more vulnerable position where your horse could potentially kick you or bite you or run on top of you. So it's better to either be really close like this or really far away from your horse. I'm just going to keep patting on it and making noise until I see some form of relaxation and that she stops moving her feet. It's good that I did this on the other side as well, because when I get up and get on her, my leg is going to be coming over that other side and I don't want it to scare her. Even though I'm going to be mounting from the left, the right is the side that can catch them off guard when that leg swings over. And even though, yes, I've been on her quite a few times and I've even rode her in the last video, I don't want to just take that for granted and be like, yep, she's ready for me just to swing right up and get on and go. I want to make sure I give her a fair amount of prep work still and make sure she's comfortable before I get on. Next thing I'm going to do is some flexing. I want her to be soft through her nose and keep her feet still. So if she finds that release on her own and gives to it with her nose, then she gets the release. That's something else really important. It's kind of a check mark for before I get on them. Can they hold their nose to the side and keep their feet still? So horses are going to panic when you pull back with both reins. They can brace against it with their neck, but if you can get their nose to the side, then you're going to have much better luck if they get scared or try to bolt. So what I was doing there is rubbing my body all over her, making motion above her, just getting her ready for my legs to be on her. She's really soft when I pick up the rein initially and ask her to tip her nose, which is awesome, but she hasn't yet figured out when I want her to turn her nose and move her hip or just flex and keep her feet still. So that's something we're still working on. But really the biggest green light for me is that they can just turn their nose to the side and stay soft, even if they are moving their feet, as long as they can turn their nose and they don't brace against you. So I'm gonna get ready to mount her now, and something unfortunate happens.
Oh man.
Did they rip?
Did you?
Ah!
Same thing that just happened to you yesterday.
Wait, show us, show us.
Are you kidding me? And the knee too.
Oh no.
I literally just lifted it and I was like, that's an odd noise. That's not what my stirrup sounds like.
You wanna go jean shopping tomorrow?
Shoot.
The part that really sucks is that I've had these jeans since either 2016 or 2017, and today was the day that they decided to quit on me.
Good girl. Good job. Lay across her this first time. Pet. Make sure she sees me out of both eyes, and then push back. Good girl. Now we have ripped pants.
I really like that she's tolerating all of this so well, though.
You don't have to stand like that. I'm not that heavy. Come on. There you go. Oh my god, I just ripped more. Okay, wait, I think I might lose my whole pant leg. Good girl. Good girl. Okay, they keep going. This is bad. Good job.
One other thing I'm going to do soon is get another saddle, because although I love this one, I only need one at a time, and this one puts my leg a little bit too far back for my liking. And I
Oh
feel
wow,
like
you've already taught her to
too much
side
bulk underneath it
pass.
for me.
Good girl.
So I'll probably trade it in
So I'm just
soon.
gonna tip her nose around this way. Good. A little bit.
So right now I'm just going to get her flexing to both sides, moving her hip around a little bit. Those are two very important things that I need to have when I get on. Just like I said on the ground, they need to be able to flex both ways and move their hip. And that's really the very first two things that I'm looking for. And then overall, I'm looking for her to be calm and pretty comfortable with me up there. And of course, I want to end every ride a little bit better than I started.
There she goes.
A couple things that she's really good at is taking off right when I ask her to. She responds really well to just me clucking.
Good.
And surprisingly, she has very good steering.
Good job. First obstacle through the hay, declaring it.
Declaring it.
We just went to Road to the Horse, and they had the obstacle part at the end, so that's why I said that.
Declaring my fault. That groundwork with my vocal cues comes into play. You did that. Where my groundwork comes into play with the vocal cues, so she responds pretty well to the clicking. And I just started her on whoa yesterday, like teaching her the verbal word, which is my fault. I should have started that earlier. Good girl. I want to keep her going this way. I don't want her to keep halting to the outside. There you go.
A few things that we need to work on is our halts and standing still and her relaxing with me up there. And I'll talk about two things that I really need to work on. First is going to be riding with a little bit of a looser rein. Now I think I talk about it in the video, but I'm used to starting in a leather halter with a little bit of a rawhide piece covered in vet wrap, and I have my reins clipped onto the side, so I kind of know the slack and how that feels with that setup, but I'm not used to starting in a rope halter.
Good. I liked her response right there, listening to that bump. So now we'll change directions. I have never started a horse in a rope halter before, just for the record. I always start, good girl, you can walk across these. I always start in that leather halter with that little, like, it's not rawhide, but it's like that rope nose band with the vet wrap on it. Good girl. Good.
And the other thing I need to work on is doing more one rein stops instead of pulling straight back. If she were to spook and I pulled straight back, that would kind of just make her brace into it and we wouldn't have any control, whereas with a one rein stop I'd be able to help her and move her hip around and give her a comfort place to go to.
I'm pretty quiet up here except for my vocal cues communicating to her. But I did have my music playing the whole time, so that video will probably be muted. I normally, good girl, play music when I ride. Good. But I wanted to be able to talk to you guys today and not film a voiceover, so.
Booty.
Good.
I feel pretty happy with where she's at right now. She's remembering everything from the day before, and I think I'm going to trot her just for a couple steps soon.
And asking her to turn to the right. Good. Good.
And I just don't really like how this rope halter sits with the reins,
To the left.
but I really like all of the turning and steering that we're doing.
Good job. And I'm going to ask for a halt. Good. So you see how we have a little bit of an issue with those halts still? You're okay. You're okay. So this is something that we're going to have to work with on the ground and under saddle, is building that patience. Good. Good. I know. I know. Am I making you wait? Good girl. Good girl.
If you guys remember, on the ground I was working on those pole releases with her, so I was going to see under saddle if I could just get her to drop her head a little bit, which I was able to.
Sassy.
So that's pretty cool that she's alright with my hand coming up that far and I can get her to drop it. And watching this back, she doesn't look too concerned or all that nervous, but being on top of her, I could definitely tell that she was alert, and all of the signals that I could feel through her back, I was just like, okay, I'm going to make sure that we're really calm and I'm going to pay attention to everything you're saying. So right now I'm just posting at the walk to get her used to that movement up there, and she doesn't seem to care all that much. When I ask her to trot, you'll notice it's just for a couple steps, but at the start that's all I really need it to be, and I really like her transition going into it. She's really soft and quiet. And honestly, in these first couple weeks under saddle, I'm not too worried about the advanced things. I'm not too worried about refining anything. I just need time in the saddle on her back, getting her comfortable with me. So I'm not too worried about how long we hold the trot for, what the trot looks like, if we're collected, if, you know, I'm not too worried about all of that. I just need more time on her. So just the fact that I was able to get on her today for a little while is definitely progress in the right direction.
Good. Nice. We'll take it. So right now, I just realized as I'm saying it, I may not be using whoa as much, but she's learned the word good is for stop, so that's something, good girl. That's something that I'm going to have to correct and start fixing with her. Good. So you can see, actually with her moving, she's a little bit more relaxed. She drops her head, she licks and chews more. Good. That was nice. And when we're just standing here, she's a little bit more worried about what's going on up here. So definitely going to work on those halts a lot more. Making sure I can start to build her confidence like this. Good. I know. Good girl. It's really cool though how they're all so different with what they're okay with at first and what they need some more help building their confidence in. Good girl. Good job. Good girl. So I'm just going to move around up here some. I do have horses sometimes at the start that'll spook when you drop your stirrups. So I always make sure I do a lot of movement before I do that. And I know some people just drop one stirrup when they dismount. Good. And they step down. But I like to drop both. Good girl. Good. See right there, she was just looking at my legs some. Good girl. So now, swing a little push off on the ground. Good. And then I'm going to get close to her because last time when I dismounted her for the first time that day, good, she got a little bit defensive. Good. Drop her head. Very nice. Good girl. There we go. and I'm going to do a manual release on her and see if I can. She's pretty sensitive with her mouth, but I'm going to stick my finger in the side of it, see if I can get her to open up. There we go. Good girl.
One more thing I like to do in my first couple rides is after I'm done working with them, I like dismount and then mount again to see their reaction, and I'm really glad I did because she decided to move to the side and get a little bit more worried. So sometimes when you're done working a horse that is new to being, ridden and mounted, they'll be a little bit more wary and be like, what the heck are we doing? We just did this. So I always make sure that I can mount them again and get off. It's kind of similar with what you see me do when I'm saddling. Like if they haven't worn tack very much, I'll take it off, and then when I take it off, I'll sometimes throw it right back on and then take it off again. So it's just practice and repetition, and like you saw, I'm really glad that she stood for that second time that I mounted her. And now I'm going to mount her a third time. She moved a little bit, but more just to catch her position. Good, and she stays still, so I'm going to be happy with that.
Good. Alright, and that's going to be it for the end of this session. I don't know what day this is, but thank you guys for watching, and I hope you tune into the next video where hopefully we're a little bit further along in our progress.